Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And without any doubt, I had a really big feeling of progress this week just because I took some simple steps. And I want to talk a little bit about that, but also to find out how your week has been. And I hope it's been a good one. And how are you feeling? It's an important thing to be able to keep checking in with yourself to find out how are you feeling. Feeling a bit warm is what I'm feeling. I might need this back again. Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you. Hope you are well. And how are things on your side of the country? Charlotte lives on the opposite side of the country to mine. We're both from Canada. I'm on the West Coast and she's sort of East Coast. So I always like hearing, you still got snow? It would be my question. But always a pleasure to see you. And Charlotte, if ever there was anybody who knows a lot about making small changes and having it have big results, it has to be you. So I wanted to just say that before we start in earnest, no snow, wet and rainy this afternoon. You know something? It's chilly here today. I don't know why. For those of you who don't know, I'm in southern British Columbia, but it's actually chilly. And, 2 nights ago, I actually wondered whether I should get my duvet out again because I was cold. And it's so, the weather doesn't know what to do at the moment. All right. So just while we're getting started here, I wanted to say that we hope all went well with Kristen, our viewer that came in last week, and she was going to do a embryo transfer this week. So I hope all went well with her. And I'm not sure of any birthdays other than Alice's. I know that Alice has a birthday tomorrow, I think, 17th. Yeah. So happy birthday to Alice, if she, otherwise known as Ace for some of you. And if we missed your birthday this week, or if it's coming up this coming week, please let us know because it means that we haven't got it on the database. I want to talk to you a little bit about the major step I took and the results that I got. But before I do that, it is said that it's better to take many small steps in the right direction than to make a giant leap forward only to stumble backwards. How many of you agree with that? That, if you can just take little baby steps towards your goal, sometimes it gets you there faster than, mammoth great ones. However, what I noticed was that I had a couple of things that I was procrastinating about, and with good reason. And one of them was emptying out some stuff from my shed. That's I haven't touched that stuff since I got here, just about, and I knew it needed to be looked at and sorted and dealt with. Ugh. And then the other thing was, you've heard me talk about this tomato trellis that I was building, and for some reason built the first one very easily and the second one didn't go easily at all. And I realized, something, it'd be a really good idea if you got some help. I've always said that asking for help is a sign of strength, not one of weakness. And after this amount of time, if I haven't done it, it means I'm probably not going to do it unless I get help, in which case I will probably throw the trellis away. And that would be such a sad thing because it works so well with tomatoes, and my tomatoes are growing like weeds. So what I did was I hired somebody to come and help me. And that goes against just about everything I can think of for me because I'm a very independent person. But, the person I had was Ciora, who's the cousin, think, of Kelly that we talked about. Anyway, she came to help me. And she came to help me yesterday, which is always a very busy day for me on a Thursday because I do all the work for the broadcast on a Thursday. But never mind, it's the day that suited her. So this was like, okay, fine, let's do it. And I had this deal with her, and it was quite simple. And she was coming to, um, weed whack my back bank, which is now dangerous for me because of my hips not being as strong as they were. And then what I said was, while you are doing that, I want you, if you will, before you start the bank, to bring me a couple of boxes that I can sort while you're doing that. And it was funny because she brought 2 boxes and I said, bring me another 2. She said, are you sure? And I said, yes, bring me another 2. So while she spent probably 3/4 of an hour doing the weed whacking of the back bank, I sorted through old books. How many of you have ever done that? All the books that came off of my bookshelves that I no longer have. And what I did instinctively, and I'm certain some of you can relate to this, instinctively I started to sort into what I call obvious categories. Hi there, Jeannie, good to see you. And again, Gemma, good to see you as well. Gemma, where are you that you've got a heat wave? But I automatically, all the cookbook type stuff was there. What amazed me was how many woodworking books I had. I had woodworking, sewing and crafts. That was a big pile. And, and it was just like, really? But what was overwhelming was the smell of old books. Do any of you recognize that smell, when I talk about it? There's, what it really is if books are in not breathing fresh air, they actually get this smell about them, and it's quite obvious why they get that smell. The books are slowly decaying. Now, you don't notice it when you've got them in a library or in fresh air where they're getting, a lot of air around them. But, basically that's what it is. And the other thing I hadn't thought about, and I will think about next time, is the fact that I am allergic to dust. I have allergies, and fine particle dust does affect my lungs. So what I noticed was while I was sorting, I was having more and more difficulty breathing. And then I got that cough that sort of like this cough, which tells me that my lungs are beginning to have a problem. And it was really amazing how I sorted everything out. Then I had the all the mystery books that I had. I'm a big mystery fan, so I had all those books, the soft cover books and so forth. It was, to me, if you wanted to know who was I in my past life, you could tell by the books that I had and how many of them I had. And it made me laugh because it made me think in the shed, and a lot of what's in the shed are tools. And that, I've got to think about what I'm going to do with those. So what I did is I had them all beautifully packed up into different categories. And I did pretty well of all. And then I sort of looked at them. And what I did, which I think was quite clever, is I stood up and walked away from them and looked back at the categories. And then by the time Ciara had finished, I could look at them and go, should I still try and sell them or not? Now, first of all, who wants to buy books that are smelly books? You know what I mean? Did you know there's a way to get that smell out of books? Did any of you know that? In case you happen to have some stuck away or, wondering what to do if that happens to you. What you do, let me see, hang on. So I had 4 boxes of books, or books and ? Whatever. And I ended up with this. And I just want to show you what's in here so you can see, why I kept it. And also what they recommend you do. Okay, so what they recommend you do is you put the books or whatever into a sealed bag with what I've got here is bicarb of soda, baking soda, and it's absolutely amazing. It's only been in there overnight, and already it smells totally different. So I know that you guys like my mementos and stuff, so let me just show you what's in here. Of all the stuff I went through, I found this award, which actually looks like this. And that's a pretty special award. It is given by the Rotary organization to people who have served above and beyond, which is funny when you think it's a service organization to start with. But they did award me that for my years of training young people for them. So it's called the Paul Harris Fellow Award, and it's still got dust on it. So if I start choking up, you'll know why. Anyway, so I kept that. I nearly chucked it, but I wasn't quite sure how to chuck it or whether I should hand it back to them. So that was that. I kept this, which was somebody you know. And funny enough, I kept one book on dreams and one book on self-analysis, which I always enjoyed doing. So, and the rest I got rid of, gone. And here, also, a second. Oh yeah. So this is part of the serious part of my previous life. This is a compendium. I think that's what you call a collection of books, right? Of quotes. The Complete Speaker's Guide library, and this I loved, which is the Webster's book of quotable quotes. I spent much of my life as a professional speaker, and I'd get asked to speak at all sorts of different organizations and for all sorts of different reasons. And, you know, every now and then, before we had the internet, before we had Google the way that we do, you know, that's what I would use to find a suitable quote. But I've also got bicarb of soda in here, and even overnight, it's a lot better than it was yesterday. So I'm going to put that back in there. Now, the reason I didn't get rid of this actually, I can do that later. The reason I didn't get rid of this is because I thought a local organization such as Toastmasters might appreciate them and help. All right, so bye, Gemma. Good to see you, and thanks for popping in. Interesting. Jeannie's saying, because of a prior broadcast, I looked through my freezer and discarded many out-of-date items, year old or older. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing as well, as you know. Okay, so this is what I got. And now, I got rid of 3 boxes completely, and all that I've got left is this and this. This is a little pile of other awards, and there are more of them, that I got. And I'm just not quite sure what you do with them. Where do you just huck them in the garbage, or? It's just like there's quite honestly, this is over and above a box full that I know I've got somewhere else that I haven't, so I just want to know if you had those sort of awards, where they're personalized and so forth, where would you get rid of them? And I know you're saying hang on to them, whatever, but I'm trying to get rid of things, not hold on to things. So can you imagine the emotions that I went through when I looked at all these things? Can you imagine all the feelings I had when I looked at all the woodworking books, or when I looked at all the sewing books, or home decoration books, or whatever it was that I had? It was amazing to me the emotions I went through, and that I instinctively sorted everything into categories. But this is a trick that I've learned. The trick is to stand up and walk away from it, and then come back with different eyes. And when I came back with different eyes, I went, they're all old. They're all old. People don't read cookbooks anymore. They go to the internet, and therefore, just take a deep breath and let them go, and wish them well. They served you well, so wish them well. And that's what I did. And to prove it, I wanted a picture because I thought you guys were probably, you can tell that I've touched the dust, right? My voice is starting to sound different already. But what I said to Ciora was, I need pictures. So here is where I was sorting everything out on the deck in the fresh air. Okay. And then that's 3 cubic feet of books and then some. That's the 2 1.5 cube boxes absolutely filled to the top, and then some extra ones as well. Jeannie's saying, I read cookbooks and even get new ones. Well, these, really, it would have taken me so much work to get the smell out of them and the discoloration and all that sort of stuff. So I decided, let them go. I've sent them to the thrift store, so people who do like cookbooks can have them. I didn't throw them in the dump. I threw them for people less fortunate than myself to be able to have them if they want them. And so it was surprising how little I kept. And what I kept. It was really weird to me. I'm still looking. Obviously, I have more books to come. Because I'm still looking. I've got a big Bible somewhere that I haven't seen for a while. I've got a small one, but where's my big one? And things like that. So, Jeannie, I understand that you're saying keep the awards, they're special. They actually, something? Yes, at the time they were. Are they special to me now? Not really. If I have to make space in my life, if, my trick is I need to downsize my life by at least another half. And I haven't got room for them on my walls here. So if I have half the wall space 2 years from now that I've got now, I'm definitely not going to have room for them. In which case they're going to be in a box. And what's the point? For Yvonne to throw away after I've gone. So why don't I just let them go now? That's the way that I'm looking at it. So very difficult. However, I did treat myself this week. I want to tell you, because again, I'm a great believer in reward yourself for good behavior. So what I did, Jeannie's asking, would I give 1 or 2 to a special friend? 1 or 2 of the awards? Or 1 or 2 of the books? The books are basically gone. I did give Ciora some of the woodworking type books. I just said, if they're any there that you want, just grab them on the way out. I'm trying to learn to just let it go. It's a big job to do. Yeah, but why would anybody want my awards? You know what I mean? if I kept an award, let me think. It's funny, isn't it? If I kept an award, I'd probably keep this one. Actually, and I've got one over there. That one. I love this one. This is made out of whalebone. So if I kept an award, I would keep these two. This was given to me by the participants at the leadership thing that I did for so many years, but it was the year that Doug was the head facilitator. And he gave me this, and it says, "Thank you for your dedication to Ryla." That was the name of the program. "Your spirit will never be forgotten." And it says, "I'm the Rylarian of the century." And it was given to me in 2004. Makes me cry. Because each year we gave out awards to the participants, and that's how I met Doug and how I met Benji and all the other people. So you understand, I would much rather keep those than keep these, because I think these are beautiful in their own right and make me smile. So it's a good thing. So I was telling you about the fact that I that I treated myself. I just wonder where Jodie's gone. She's not here, is she? Because I was talking to her just before the broadcast, so that's weird. Jodie being our admin. Thanks for stepping in there, Jeannie. I appreciate it. I've just realized I see your name, but I don't see Jodie's. Anyway, so what I did was I treated myself. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a diabetic that controls my, well, I'm just about not a diabetic anymore. I control my blood sugar by my diet and not by not eating good stuff. I do it by portion control. And so every now and then I like to have what I call a totally bad day, which is totally good. And my totally bad day was I went shopping and I bought myself 2 Napoleons because I love Napoleon desserts. That's where you've got sort of pastry and then custard and then more pastry and then more custard and cream and then icing on top with, it's just like totally out of my wheelhouse. I'm not meant to eat stuff like that. But every now and then it looks so good. So if you're going to, my system is this: if I'm going to be bad, let me be bad all over and just enjoy the day and then go back to being better behaved the next day. So what I did was I also went and got Chinese. And the Chinese, I got enough for most people for one day, but it lasted me for 2 meals. So that was awesome. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And what amazed me was I took my blood sugar reading just to make sure at lunchtime the day afterwards, and I was fine. My body had, simulated the sugars and all the bad stuff. Yay. So you understand the system, all right? Which is, if you're going to be bad, be totally bad and thoroughly enjoy it. And then just go back to normal rather than keep sneaking in a lot of bad stuff all the time. The other thing, Jeannie, thank you for mentioning your freezer and so forth. I also gave myself bonus points for taking a right step in the right direction to start eating out of my larder, which I filled to the gunnels for the pandemic, and my deep freeze. So I did eat meals from there. But in part of my treating myself day, I did buy myself some steak. And I did have steak and onions the other night, and it was so good. And half a steak and onions. Yeah, no potatoes, just half a steak. And what I do is I put my onions into my air fryer, cut them up and just shake them in a bag with a little bit of oil and salt and pepper and stuff. And then I put them in the air fryer very low on 200 for about 4 hours. And then they end up being almost dehydrated and it tastes so good. So really good. I was happy about that. I was happy that I had a steak, which I haven't had for a while. And so I felt that was a twofer, if you like. I not only did the right things, but I also thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, so Jeannie's saying she also sorted out shelves of canned good pasta and sauces. Just want to see. I know I took some other pictures for you to see. Yeah, for those of you who know, this is my favorite rose just beginning to bud, or the buds beginning to open, rather. And it ends up looking like a peony. But this is at the first week, middle of June. So it's called the Lady Gardener. All right. And Jeannie's saying, I sorted out the shelves of canned goods, pasta, and sauces. And then she said, this is all because of you. Well, I think we all need the reminder. And I assure you, I always say that about you guys as well. Would I have done this if I wasn't talking to you every week? Probably not. And so it's a two-way trade here. Okay, so these are the trellises that I put up. So there we go, and stuff growing. And at the back, you can see that bank that I'm talking about that is treacherous. So I thought you'd want to see that. And then yeah, it's a sideways view of the trellises and the bank. So there you go. So that's what I was up to, and I felt really good about it. So the thing that I needed to change was what is that saying? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always had. So what I needed to change was trying to do it on my own. And what I realized was if I could, on a systematic basis, know that somebody was coming to help me, then I believed I would do more prior to them coming, and I also would do more while they were with me. So what I found, I just want to get the quotes back again, so hold on a second. What I found was that even before Siora came, such an unusual name, I went into the bedroom, and I have on the right-hand side of my bed, I have a set of cubies, and there are 4 cubies in there. I took them all out, and I got 1 cubie completely cleared. So that was a quarter. And actually, it was more than a quarter because the others are sorted out in a different way, so they're not full. And I was really pleased with it. And I know, I don't know if any of you relate to this. One of those cubies, is filled with pantyhose, hose, whatever they're called. What are they called in the States? Probably hose. Anyway, so full, all right? Every color you can think of. And I'm going, why am I keeping these? Why am I keeping these? And, and the reason is I'm a crafter, and I can think of 1,001 things to do with something like pantyhose. However, I know that my next goal is to go back to that cubie and empty it and just go, goodbye. If you need more pantyhose, then buy them. And I bet you don't. Jeannie's saying, I had a huge branch that came down months ago in the windstorm. I finally got 2 quotes. One was high and awful. The other was reasonable, so the firm did the work yesterday. How does it feel to have that done? I want to tell you something, Jeannie. The one thing I have to say to you is, Sierra and I, in the course of 2.5 hours, Sierra did the bank, I did the sorting of the books. Together we did the trellis and took it out and installed it. And we sorted out a whole lot of uh, plastic flower pots and things. And, and they're all in a bag. They would have gone, except it's only a quarter of it's a big contractor bag. And I know we've got a lot more plastic. So I said, let's just keep that bag and keep filling it. And then, when it's full, well, you can take it with you. So yes, JD is saying it felt fabulous. I had procrastinated long enough. And that is exactly the point that I wanted to make, that I had procrastinated long enough, 2 years, and change to get into the shed. And I knew I didn't want to do it because I knew it was going to be difficult for me because of allergies and stuff. And I forgot to wear a mask. But on the other hand, if I knew I didn't have to do it for too long, and somebody knew I was, I had a manager, if you like, and I made sure that Sierra knew that that's what I wanted to do in that time, and I needed help doing it because I really didn't look forward to it. Too emotional for me. And also that the trellis in my back room was stopping me from doing other things I want to do in the back room. So really exciting stuff. And I agree with you. Was it worth the investment of money to get Sierra to help? Yes. And she is so so aware of all that I have to do that we're just going to keep doing it. And, it's just like, and until I've got far enough ahead that I feel that I have downsized enough. So what we will do is in the summer months, and that's what we said, she's going to come again next week, and probably, during the summer months, she's probably going to come every week, because we need to get that stuff out of the shed, and we need good weather to do that so that we can get it out sorted and get it back in again. We don't want to be doing that in the heavy rain or in the snow or whatever, although we know we could, but we don't want to. So yes, I ate from my larder and I ate from my freezer. But I do notice that I am eating less, which means it's going to take me longer. That means I've got to throw more out. I'm looking at the moment. I did buy quite a lot of powdered whole milk powder. And so now I've got to find things to cook using that, or maybe I'll use it for my coffee, because it's like I've got a lot of it and I want to use that up. Now, the other thing I did was I had a particular stylus, not this one, but I have a particular stylus that's heavy. And I love it. And somewhere last week or the week before, I dropped it. And I was pretty sure it had rolled under my couch. But, it's one of those things where it was on my to-do list, find the stylus. But, again, another procrastination, kept putting it off. And then yesterday, Wednesday, I said, that's enough. And hold on a sec. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this gizmo, all right? It's like, I think I got it from Wish, but it's like a very thin Swiffer. And it's wonderful for going under the oven, under the stove, or under the fridge, or between, behind a bookcase or whatever. Love it. And it's also very useful for going under your couch and getting things out from there. And I was amazed at what I found that came out from under my couch. Obviously, it was the season to go under my couch. So it made me happy that I found my stylus that I was looking for, but also made me happy that I cleaned under both, while I was in that mood, I did under both couches while I was at it, which means it can come off my seasonal list, right? The other thing that I found was that, just bear with me, that we had a lot of rain this week, and I noticed that I'm not the only one. We had a lot of rain, and that meant that I didn't have to go out and water the garden as much, which saved me time, and I was happy about that. So And it's just like, I know we're probably going to pay the price any minute now, but it was just like, oh, thank you, God, for watering. I don't need to. For those of you who know, I've been making soaps. I will talk about it a bit more tonight. But I made a new soap yesterday, and I want to tell you, oh, I wish you could smell this. I'm trying to think, what have I got that I need to utilize in my life? And this is a soap with lavender and mint. And then it also has some Castile soap in there, which is, the olive oil based, and then some shea butter soap in it. So can you imagine how good that's going to smell every time you wash with it? What I'm going to do is now leave it for 4 to 6 weeks to harden. But the thing is, you can tell I'm addicted to the smell. Yeah, I want to tell you something, Jeannie. It smells so good. I just want to put it back where it belongs before I mess it up. So, and I now realize I am into soap making. I really like it. And then the other thing, oh, I know what it was. For those of you who are watching on the Friday evening broadcast, when I was making wax wraps, we're getting there. And the idea of a wax wrap is, instead of using single-use plastic, let's say I've got something in here that I want to keep. When you put your hand over a wax wrap like this, the heat from your hand, okay, will cause the wax to mold. And now what I've got is a cover for whatever's in here, without using plastic. And then they obviously don't use them with fresh meat, raw meat, or anything like that. Just use them for, covering sandwiches or cooked things. I think that makes sense. When you want to wash a wax wrap, don't use hot water for obvious reasons, because hot water will melt the wax, which you don't want. But what you've got is a really good way of, covering something time and time again, all right, without using plastic. And just the heat of my hand caused that to mold like that. Isn't that amazing? So, and then when I want to straighten it up, hi there, Jody, good to see you're okay. I was a bit worried about you. Okay, and then here it is, ready to be used again. And let's say we got a different shape or whatever. I mean, here we go again. So do you guys get the idea? right? Very, very. Now, what I did as well as, because I always am, whenever I do something new like this, I want to be aware of what's around me. And I noticed that my local store actually had some wax wraps, which I was surprised about. And I bought some um, just to see what they looked like and how they packaged them and what they had on the packaging that I might need to put on my gifts. So there we go. I'm really quite surprised that it's going as well as it is. It's messy. I'm still trying to find a cleaner way of doing it. And there is no doubt in my mind, if you're going to do things with wax, you're going to need wax dedicated tools. All right. There's no doubt about that at all. But I'm actually quite surprised. I've made about 5 now. And I'm getting better each time. Now, obviously, after a while, you will find that the wax starts to not hold together as well. And all you do is just, put it back into a warm state so that what wax is there can distribute again evenly, or just, re-wax it. So I'm actually very excited about it. Now I've got to work out how to package it and get it ready for Christmas presents. That was quite exciting. That was another step in the right direction. Another thing off my bucket list, things I've always wanted to make, and I never have. So I'm very happy that I did that, and that I'm taking another step forward with it as well. You remember I said I went shopping and bought all that bad stuff? I had all the bad stuff in the bags, and I was coming out of the market where I was. And there's one more picture I wanted to show you. Hold on one second. Gotta find that picture. Oh, those are Napoleons that I confessed to eating. But as I came out of the store, this car was parked next to mine. Now, it didn't have the hood up like that, but the owner and his wife were just getting out of it. And that's a Shelby. And that comes from England from way back when. And I just literally stood there, with my bags of groceries, and I just stood there, and my eyes were out on stalks, because isn't it just so beautiful? And I love cars. So beautiful. And I just stood there and I just gaped. And I gaped enough. I mean, I just kept shaking my head and almost in tears. And I said, I remember when, and the guy was so kind to me, and he chatted to me. He offered to take me for a ride in it. And then he could tell by the way I was talking about the car. He said, would you like to see the engine? I said, absolutely. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not the sort of thing you would normally say to a woman, right? And I wonder if I can get this. That engine, you could have eaten the Napoleons off it. I want to tell you, it was just a totally, totally pristine engine. I said, please don't ask me to raise the hood on my car and see mine. But he was so kind to me. And then I said to the wife, I said, is he good about this, or is it like having a mistress? Because I know a lot of people who are into cars like that, are spent all their time with the cars and not with the wives. And she said, no, he's great. He's got a balance. And I said, oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Um, but what a beautiful car to own, and beautiful weather to have it out in. And I'm certain. I said to him, I said, I'm a YouTuber, and I said, I am certain that when you take it out, you have to allow extra time for idiots like me stopping you and asking questions. And he said, something, there are not many that show as much interest as you genuinely did. He said, your body language, he said it all. It wasn't just like, oh, that's a nice car. It was like you were reliving memories. And then we started to talk about Brands Hatch, the racetrack in England where I raced, and, and all sorts of things. And it was wonderful. Okay, so Jeannie's saying years ago, York, her husband who passed recently, took my mom for a ride in a convertible. She was thrilled. We all went for an ice cream cone in that car. It's the same thing. When Benji took me to Hawaii, because it was on my bucket list and I'd never been, when he took me to Hawaii, he actually rented the Magnum for red Ferrari. And we drove up the island and back, in the Ferrari. Of course, getting me in and out of it was a problem, but did I care? No. I was, it was just like, and he didn't let me drive it. So, do you understand that this whole thing about downsizing by half is very challenging? What I found as well was by the time I had done 4 boxes of books and dust and all the rest of it, that it was enough. And I know that that Siora said to me, oh gosh, you've done so well. Do you want me to bring you some more? And I said, no, I don't. I gave a commitment that I would do 2 boxes and I've done 4. I'm happy. Now let's get on to the next thing on the list, and next time you come, we'll do another couple of boxes and we'll keep going until we've been through all of that shed and sorted it out and cleaned it out. And, the thing is, she's got this great truck, which means that I don't have to think too much. If I can let it go that day, it's gone. She's taken it with her. I don't have time to second guess it. And I think that's really important for me. So I'm very excited. So it also means that now, after I've cleaned up what's left of that trellis, we have got enough room to start building that final unit that I've always wanted in my back room, so that I can finish unpacking the stuff that's in there. However, the other thing is I've got this sort of nursery area for my plants behind my seating areas on my deck. I've got 2 different seating areas. I got a very big deck, 29 feet, I think, covered. And it's like I got 2 seating areas. And then behind that, I've got what I call the nursery, the potting area. And Sierra is going to make me a proper potting table, and we're going to put the cubies underneath it for storage. At the moment, I've got big totes underneath it, which was a good idea for containing everything. But, you can't get to anything. So, if you want to get to anything, you've got to take everything off and then open up the container and so forth. So I said, what we're going to do is get those containers out and then completely downsize what's in there, because I know a lot of it's plastic and crud. And then we will redo it in a better way. So, and also, if dreams came true, I also bought some plastic, because what I'd like to do is to enclose that area in plastic so that it can be its own greenhouse in the winter. That would really make me happy. But we'll see how we go. So the question that I want to go back to is, do any of you relate to the fact that you are holding on to something that you have absolutely no need for? All right. I mean, I understand awards are awards and they're special in your life, but yeah. But a box full of hose, and I don't wear hose. As some of you know, I don't even wear it in the winter. All right. If I have to, I wear socks in the winter, but most of the time, even then, I don't. But some of you saw me shoveling snow without socks on. So it's like, why have I kept them all these years? And they're from I've been retired 10 years now, nearly 8 years. And when did I last need hose? So why? I'm trying to work out. Can any of you work out why I would hold on to that? Other than the fact I find uses for it. I do. I use it to tie up things like, the tomatoes, or I use it to um, make, I put my, what shall I say? I put my dryer lint inside it, and then put it around my tomato plants, right? So the slugs don't like the feel of it. So that sort of thing makes sense to me, but quite honestly, why else? So I think I'm going to allow myself to keep a few for that purpose, or throw that and the lint out. I got a box full of dryer lint. So I can tell that this downsizing by half is going to be quite a challenge with a lot of stories attached to it. A lot. And I'm hoping that somewhere along the way, like Jeannie, it will inspire some of you to also consider downsizing. I want to talk for a second a little bit more about the feelings that I had. I was absolutely shocked that although I had a lot of feelings come up when I saw the awards and stuff like that, I was shocked to see how many books I had on making things. Now, you're probably not surprised, but it's just like I was I'm just stunned how many woodworking books I had. Um, and sewing and stuff like that. And I'm going, wow. I guess I've always been a creative person, and why am I shocked about that? I don't know, but I think that's part of the thing about books. You always, if ever you want to know something about anybody, just walk into their home and see what books they've got. It'll tell you everything you need to know just about. If you walk into Marnie's house, I'm certain you will find an awful lot of books about World War II or whatever, because she's an absolute studies all of that and fascinated by it all. And so you look at it and you go, we all have these areas of interest. And what happened, and I know what happened, when I went to sell my house, I packed everything up that had any of that sort of emotional attachment to it, because that's what you need to do. Anything that, get the family photographs off the walls and so forth. Now you can have, the odd thing, odd, all right? But what they say when we're showing a house is, one surface, see the stove, one surface, one item. Where that one surface, one item. Here, this is clutter. Here, this is clutter. One item would be the coffee maker, and you need to have the foam maker out, but the rest should be in a cupboard. And so you learn these things the hard way. And what I want to do is to get my house down to that, before I move. If I can get my house naturally, in other words, I know that the next move I make, I'm probably not going to have a kitchen any bigger than what you're looking at now on that side. All right. Right there. All that. So all that's in here and under here and elsewhere, I need to downsize. It makes sense. You see, I know how to do it because I know what I'm going to end up with. And learn to cook and learn to be happy with it. All right. Which means a lot of my gizmos are going to go. The question is, which ones will I use? That's staying. That's staying. That, yeah, maybe. But only for ornament. So again, I would ask you to look at your home and just, if you can, challenge yourself. Hi, Andrea. Good to see you. I did see you pop in there. Big hugs to you as well, honey. We love you. But what I want you to do is I go through this process, and I will be sharing it, obviously, as I do it, and also to share the feelings. All right. Well, and to ask the question, where do you recycle awards? Now, some of them, if they're just paper awards, well, you can take them out and shred them, um, and then donate the picture frame. But these things are a lot more complicated. So now, to me, I'm thinking about maybe somebody could take my award off it and then reuse the actual, because this is good. This was given to me in 1999, 1998, 2000, 1996, they go back. So, it's just like, I've got, I just said to Sayura, I actually told her to chuck them, and she said, no, hold on to them for another week. Make sure you want to get rid of them. I thought that was good. Obviously, what I found out is Sierra has a kind heart in more ways than one. And she, I think, understands my mentality. And she was actually quite shocked that I got rid of as much as I did as quickly as I did. And I said, no, this is why I want you here. I can do this better if somebody is watching how pathetic I am. Do any of you relate to that? Otherwise, that going through boxes of books would have taken me 4 months. Right. So Andrea's saying there are many awards. I would keep them and hand them over to my kids one day if they were mine. But the thing is, I don't have kids, and when I say I don't have kids, I would keep, as I said, I would keep this award because Dougie gave it to me. When Doug was the head facilitator, they gave me this award. So it has this. I will give probably back to Doug. And this one, because I love it. It's so unique. The sculpture is made from whalebone. For some reason, it's still got it was its authenticity tag. Obviously, fell off. I was trying to think, what was hanging on here. Did I put it on the bottom? No. Anyway, but I think it's beautiful, don't you? Eskimo. So now I have got the next decision to make. I know I've probably got 4 boxes of silver. And my sense is the sense that I have is that I need to clean the silver and try and sell it. And I think I will do that, hopefully with some help from you guys who have sold things online. So you're going to go through a lot of my memories. Yeah, you're saying maybe Benji and Judy's kids would enjoy the Eskimo. The thing is this, that they are very, I know enough about Benji and Judy. They downsize every quarter. I'm not joking. I have watched it happen. There is no clutter in their house. Right? So I'm very careful about what I give them. Even when I gave Benji a painting, because I wanted him to have some of my art, I gave him a very small one for his office because I wanted him. And funny enough, I made 3, and I gave 2 to him, and I kept 1 because that's the link, and he will eventually get the 3rd one. Hang on. But what I did is I framed them nicely, I think. Anyway, so you see, this was one of a set of three, and he has the other two, and I kept this one as the link. And then this will go back to him to complete the set. So it is difficult. I want to tell you, it's not easy stuff, but it's necessary stuff. And you know, things like, how many tea towels do you have? I must have 24 tea towels. You know, either red, black, or white, and red, black. I've got red ones, I've got black ones, and I've got red, black, and white ones. But I must have 24. And obviously, by the time I leave here, I won't need them. But they have lasted me so long. I'm a great believer in buying good tea towels because I wash these every week, right? My tea towels, I only use them 1 or 2 days at most, and then they get washed again. So it's just like those have been through the washing machine and back again. So quite something. So lots of feelings for me this week. How about you guys? Did anything happen that brought up a lot of feeling for you? While you're typing, I also went back to playing a game that I used to play some years ago. And what surprised me was I was on a team of people internationally that played this game. And I thought they would have nuked me off the game long ago. But when I went back, I was still part of their team. And what amazes me is that it was like I'd never left. You know, they just left the door open for me to come back again. So it was really amazing, but boy, does it take a lot of my time. But what I keep thinking is there must be a reason. There are no coincidences. There must be a reason why I need to take that time to play that game. And that is to balance all the other emotions and stuff that are going on for me at this time. And I'm a great believer in that, right? Which is, this stuff is not easy. Don't pretend that it is. Jeannie, I am certain that, you will be unpacking. You've probably finished unpacking from the fire now, but even so, there were things that you unpacked that now you may need to do again, the same as I'm having to do, which is let me do that. But I do believe it's doable, but only if I do it in small amounts, and I worked out the budget. And what I said was, I'm going to put aside this much money to downsize by half and to have somebody help me in the garden where I need it and do those sort of things. So half the time is spent gardening and the other half of the time is spent doing things I need help with, including the downsizing. And instead of saying, I hope I find the money, what I'm saying, that's the change. It is essential for my peace of mind that I do this. Therefore, where am I going to downsize my budget to make room for this? Do you understand the change in thinking? And that is buy less food. What I found really interesting, Jody, I was thinking about you and Meals on Wheels. And what I noticed when I went to visit that friend of mine in the seniors place that I went and visited, they reckon if there's one person living in the apartment, it's so much. And if there are two, they add 600 for the extra food. So we know that a budget of 600 for one person is sufficient. Yeah, I spend a lot more than that. So my trick now is to go, stop feeding the pantry. I know there's stuff up here in this is the pantry and the kitchen. What I want to do is get the whole of the pantry in the laundry room into this pantry here. Do you understand that I downsize it all enough that it can all fit here? Can you imagine how much I'm going to have to deal with? Andrea is saying, I almost had a mental breakdown at Michael's school this week because I felt so helpless. we had a help conference because of his ADHD and how things will continue for the coming school year. Oh, Andrea, have you talked to Jeannie? If you don't have Jeannie's contact information, Jeannie, may I share it with Andrea? The reason is Jeannie has a grandson who is on the autism scale, and therefore understands a lot of these challenges, and has, I know you're living in two completely different countries, but one thing I do know is that staying advocate for your child, and I didn't know that Michael struggled with ADHD. By the way, I think a lot of us do. Yeah, Jenny has two special ed kids in her family. So, if you think that having somebody to talk to who understands that in a whole different level, I'd happily hook you up with Jeannie as a support system, because I know she'd love to be able to help you. Not to fix it, but just somebody who can understand. And as Jody is saying, all right, she has a wealth of information and understanding. And I really recommend her kindness. So if you would like that, I mean, obviously you've got our support. You know that. There you go. I would love to have somebody to talk to. Okay, I will organize that for you. Is your email the same as it's always been? Maybe, can you send me an email to DearMamaSal@gmail.com, Andrea? Just so I know, and know that I've got that. And just say, in the subject line, just put Jeannie in the subject line, so I know that is the address that she can contact you at. And then I will pass that on to her so she can contact you. Thanks, Jody. You're so good. So there we have it. Not easy. But the thing is, how many of all the things that I pulled out today and shared with you in terms of feelings and memories, did anything trigger you to go, yeah, I need to do that? Where would, how do you understand my thinking about these awards? They meant a lot at the time that I got them. Of course they did. But right now, do they warrant, wall space? Why? To impress other people? I know I got them. And not having them doesn't mean I didn't get them. And I also don't need to prove it to anybody. Do you understand my thinking? Thanks, Jeannie. And I'll wait for Andrea to send it as well. And then I will link you to it. So do you all understand my thinking about that? And do you understand that some awards are worth keeping because they have very strong emotional attachment? This one, that was the award given to me the year that Doug was the head facilitator, yes. This one, because it was uniqueness, yes, I will keep it. But, other than that, so much junk. So much incredible junk. And all I keep saying to myself, and I don't know if this will help any of you, I keep in mind when I was going through the boxes and when I looked at them, when I took that step back and I looked at the categories and went, okay, what do you want to try and sell? And I went, quite honestly, none of it. You know what I mean? Because it was going to be time and effort that I didn't want to take. I've got too much work to do. I didn't want to take the time. So, but some things, as you saw, some things I wanted to keep, but the smell of those things was so bad. But that sent me to the research to find out, how do you get the smell out of stuff that's been in storage a long time? And I was amazed that you can. So that's the thing. If I can get the smell out, they stay. If I can't, they will go in the next couple of weeks. It's quite simple. I can do this, right? and I'm looking forward to it, because now what I'm doing is what I goes through my mind is, do you want to do this, or do you want to have poor Yvonne try and do this after you've gone? All right. And so now my life is about, what do you really use? Stop kidding yourself. What do you really need? And it's not a lot. Let's be honest. This is DearMamaSal saying, please think about this. And we will continue the journey as I continue to bring you the memories, which will have a lot of feeling for me. And I will continue to bring you my allergies because, again, I brought these things out and I forgot to wear a mask. But, I knew you'd want to see some of them. Have a wonderful afternoon. For some of you, we're going to meet this evening. I'm going to talk to you a bit, for those that weren't here today at this broadcast. I'm going to be chatting a bit about those soaps that I made and the wax wraps. And then what I really want to do is to make a pasta, because I haven't had pasta for a long time. So that's what we're going to do. And I thank you. What I wanted to do is, I actually said to Jody, do we know a recipe that will use up pasta and peas? And she found me one. So because, I got like 5 bags of peas in my freezer. So I know I need recipes using things. This is DearMamaSal saying, let's have some fun tonight. We will see you then. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for your help, Jeannie. Really appreciate it. And Jody, thanks for struggling to get in and getting there at the end. And wonderful stuff. Bye for now.